This happened around Easter of 2016. I was in my early teens at the time and didn't have my driver's license yet, so I was forced to walk everywhere because my parents were always working, and they didn't have time to drive me to most places. Sometimes it was a little annoying, but I didn't mind usually. Like I said before, this was around Easter time, so most parents would take their kids out to the mall. That's why I decided to walk the mall one evening alone. I didn't really have any plans for that day, and I didn't want to just sit around the house by myself, so I decided that I would hang out over there and maybe look around some stores. Maybe possibly get a photograph with the mall Easter bunny. Well, so it just turns out that my wish would come true. As I strolled around the mall looking around a few stores, I came across a huge line leading up towards a platform where the Easter bunny was taking photos with all of the kids. At first, I couldn't see the bunny through all of the people surrounding the place, but then I caught sight of it through the crowd. I was shocked as hell. The bunny honestly looked scary as shit. It definitely wasn't the same bright, happy-looking bunny that I had loved so much as a kid. No, this one looked off somehow. I don't know if it was the costume or makeup, or just the way the person in it was behaving, but the more I looked at it, the creepier it got. Still, it had taken me 20 minutes to walk to the mall, and I didn't want to leave without the picture, so I got in line. I figured that the bunny had to look less creepy up close, so I continued to wait until I finally made it up to the front of the line. About 15 to 20 minutes later, I was finally there. However, the bunny unfortunately looked the complete opposite from what I had expected. The bunny was somehow even creepier up close. I still couldn't quite figure out what it was, but I just felt uneasy around it. I hesitantly sat on the bunny's lap and waited to be photographed. As I sat there, I remembered the bunny whispering something in my ear along the lines of,
"Do you want to eat my carrot, little boy?"
No, sir. I just want a picture.
I took my picture with the bunny as quickly as possible and then got the hell out of there. I still felt very unsettled as I exited the mall. I was pretty disappointed too. I was hoping for a much better experience than I had gotten. I felt better after I left and immediately started walking back home. It had gotten slightly late while I had been inside the mall, and the sun was starting to go down. I hoped that I would make it home before dark. After a few minutes of walking, I decided to take a shortcut through a deserted alleyway. It was honestly rather unsettling walking through there, but I was used to it by that point, and it did save a lot of time. I still felt uneasy for some reason, and something told me that I should get home as fast as possible. Not long after turning into the alleyway, I started to hear footsteps behind me, like someone was following me. I ignored it for a second as I thought it was just my imagination. But then there was no mistaking the sound of footsteps getting louder and louder straight behind me. I suddenly felt scared as hell and immediately turned around to see who was there. And that's when I saw something so utterly terrifying. It was the same bunny from the mall. He stopped as I turned around and stood there motionless, staring at me gauntly. It was completely terrifying. I began to slowly back away. Then out of nowhere, the bunny pulled out a machete and started sprinting towards me, laughing like a psycho. I immediately got the hell out of there and started sprinting down the alleyway, not daring to look back. As I ran, I could hear the bunny's footsteps getting louder behind me. He was gaining on me. Then I felt the bunny's fingertips touch my back, like he was trying to grab me and was almost close enough. I felt like my lungs were about to burst as I sprinted as fast as I could, forcing myself to go even faster. That's when I was able to outrun the bunny as I came flying out of the alleyway and turned down the street to my house. I was so close. I still didn't dare look behind me as I pounded up the steps and flung the door open, slamming it behind me. I immediately told my parents what had happened and they called the cops. I looked out the window, but the bunny was nowhere to be seen. The cops arrived soon after and searched the whole area, but they didn't find anything. The bunny had completely disappeared. The next day, we called the mall to find out who the bunny was. It turned out that the bunny was revealed to be a man named Daniel, who had failed to register as an offender for his past crimes. My parents were immediately sick. Most of the parents in the area caused an outrage when the news came out. They couldn't believe that their kids had been sitting on that psycho's lap. As for me, I don't really share the same love for the Easter Bunny anymore. I still wonder what would have happened to me if the man had caught up to me that night. This story was inspired by a real-life case regarding a 24-year-old man named Daniel Sanderson for failing to register as an offender. Sanderson had been working at the Dakota Square Mall in Minot. He was hired by a temporary employment service and was posing for photos with mall guests as the Easter Bunny. A spokesperson for the parent company for the Dakota Square Mall released a statement saying that Cherry Hill Photo Enterprise hired Sanderson. They claim that all applicants are, quote-unquote, subject to a strict background screening process. Since then, mall guests have expressed their outrage for Dakota Square Mall for not taking extra precautions with new hires, and for Cherry Hill Photography for not doing proper background checks.